Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of art. It's the Tenet Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson, coming to you from the 40 West Arts District here in Lakewood, Colorado. And joining me from his studio in Rapid City, South Dakota, my partner and friend. You know him as quite possibly the most interesting man in the world, Wes Brown.
Todd, how you doing, my friend? Oh my God, it's another week. We're going to have fun. This is going to be a great conversation.
We're in the month of March.
And we know what that means.
Month of photography.
That's right.
Month of photography. I'm excited about it. Are you excited about it?
I'm just super stoked about it. I'm super stoked because, you know, that's our gig, man. We're both photographers. So this is our month. And I know you've lined up some really great photographers. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we get started today, Mr. Brown, I have a couple announcements or a couple things I want to talk about. One, I want to take a moment and mention a cool opportunity to our listeners. If you live in the United States, it's a call for entry for the Gilpin County Arts Association 76th Annual Juried Art Show. It's the longest continuous running juried show in Colorado and the Midwest. And if you go to callforentry.org and search Gilpin County Arts Association, there you can find all the rules and stipulations. It's open to 2D, 3D mixed media, and photography. And you can also learn more by going to gilpinarts.org. And I do have a link to the call for entry on our Tenet Podcast page, our Facebook page, if you want to search that out. I'm going to be one of the jurors, and there's some others that will soon be announced. The entry deadline is in April. It's April 15th of this year. There's cash prizes involved, so go check it out. And one more thing I was going to mention, I'm doing a couple artist talks for Month of Photography for my exhibit, Return of the Corn Mothers, currently on display at History Colorado. Those are happening Saturday, March 4th and Saturday, March 18th on the 4th floor of the museum from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. The talks are free and open to the public, but we ask that you RSVP via the Chicano Humanities and Arts Council website, and that's chacgallery.org, C-H-A-C gallery.org. Otherwise, just show up. I don't think they're going to care. It's a free event. Show up. Happy to see you. You going to come down for that, Wes?
I'm going to try. I'm always trying. I'm always trying to make it to Denver. I love Denver.
I know. It'd be good to see you. But I know you're busy in March too. And we have a lot of stuff going on with our interviews and everything.
I'll be in LA in March.
Oh, that's right. That's where you're headed.
Right.
All right. We're celebrating Month of Photography here on Tenet. And in doing so, we're bringing you a variety of interviews with a handful of photographers from Colorado and across the United States for the month of March. Month of Photography Denver, for those who aren't familiar, is a biannual festival that celebrates the photographic medium through public exhibitions, events, and programs at more than 75 museums, galleries, and other participating spaces across the Denver metro area. This year's festival takes place March 1st through the 30th. If you want to find out more information on Month of Photography Denver, go to denvermop.org. And you can see all the events that are listed there. Our guest this week is known for her compelling portraits of Denver's counterculture. She has a solo show during Month of Photography that opens March 11th at Leon Gallery, entitled Shadow Band. You can check out her work at her website, shadowsgather.com, and on Instagram at shadows.gather. Shadow, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Super excited to see you and hang out with you this evening.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I've been a listener, so I'm really honored that you wanted to talk to me tonight.
Oh, we're excited to talk to you because you're bringing something to the table that not everybody gets to see. So I really appreciate the fact that you're doing what you do. So thank you. And thank you for coming and sitting down with us. We really do appreciate it. It's our pleasure. Thank you.
So I want to start off by having you talk about what you do and what your focus is as a photographer.
So I really started taking photos in the nightlife, and I just really enjoy taking photos of my friends. I go to different clubs around Denver. And then I also fly out to LA, and I try to find the most interesting people and the best places and the most fashionable individuals that I can. And most of my photos are portraits, and I take out with me a Instax camera, a little toy camera that uses instant film to capture all of these individuals in the nightlife.
Very much similar to the Polaroid camera, right? Correct?
Very much like the Polaroid camera, but the film is so much cheaper, so much cheaper.
Was that a consideration when you were starting this journey in photography?
Oh yeah, I really didn't think I was going to be taking the journey that I did with photography. It was just a camera that I had, and I just took it out with me one night and had a handful of photos that I brought home with me and put them on Instagram. And next thing you know, people really enjoyed them. So I just continued to go around collecting photos, and I've been doing that since 2019. And so currently I have a collection. I keep all the photos. I give a photo as a gift in the nightlife. So everybody I've taken a photo of actually has a photo of their own. And then I take one home with me that I keep for myself for my collection. And I archive those images. So at this point, I have well over 1,000. I haven't really dived into them and like counted all of them, but I do have quite a few.
Is it hard to keep that archive organized? How do you go about organizing that many photos? Because you're out and about like all the time, right?
Oh yeah, I am out and about all the time. I started off very fancy. I bought these boxes off of Etsy, and they were very lovely, and I was collecting them and putting them in there, and that ended up being a little bit too pricey to continue down that path. So now I store them in the Instax boxes that I get my film in. And then I kind of just put them in the closet. I like to keep them in a nice dark place because I don't know how long Instax film the pictures actually are going to last. So I really do try to take care of them.
That makes total sense. And you've only been doing this since when?
Since 2019, kind of about a year before the pandemic.
And it was just on a whim you decided, hey, I'd like to have one of these cameras, and you took it out with you, and you had such a great time. You thought, you know what? I should be doing this all the time.
Oh yeah, everybody liked their little instant film gift, the photo that I gave them of themselves. And I posted, gosh, I think I had about a dozen photos that I posted on an Instagram page. And within 2 weeks, I had about 1,000 followers. And so it just kind of caught fire, and people really liked the images. The people that were in the images started sharing them. And yeah, that was back when the algorithm was much better than it is today. I don't know if that would happen today, but it definitely did happen to me in 2019. But I've always been a fan of instant film. I do remember taking out a Polaroid years before for the Instax, and I would take photos of bands. And I worked for a company that I had unlimited Polaroid film, which is kind of wild to think about now, but I've always really enjoyed the Polaroid camera. And it's always been a nice souvenir, like a little photo booth whenever you go out. And everybody just looks the best at nighttime whenever they're out in the clubs. They put their makeup on, their hair gets real big like mine. They put on their best clothes and their best shoes. They're really out to impress. So that's what I'm really trying to capture, is people living their best moments.
That makes total sense, right? People go out, like you said, they want to look their best. They want to be seen, right?
I feel like people are living like their true lives whenever they're out in the nightlife, like that's a time where they can dress how they want, they can act how they want, they can tell these extravagant stories, whether they happened or not, and people will just really enjoy them how they are. And so that's That's really what I'm capturing. I think if you were to look at my photos, you would see like a sense of humanity and people having fun, and you might see like these scary creatures of the night, as you would say, but they have a big smile on their face and they have a cocktail in their hand, and they're with their people that they really, really, truly want to be with.
Yeah, they want to be with them and they trust them. So that makes it even more, I think, really interesting because they're able to be themselves. And I've looked through your Instagram page, and you have some great, for lack of a better word, characters, if I may, because they're really interesting looking. It's definitely counterculture. A lot of people you wouldn't see dressed like this walking down the street. Maybe in Denver you do, but in Rapid City you don't see them dressed like this. But it's really cool because you can tell they're in their element, they're having fun, they're with their friends, and you really capture that beautifully.
Well, thank you so much. That's really what I'm trying to do, and I think the places I go, the places I do tend to frequent are safe places for me and my friends, and for other people where they can be who they want to be.
So I can imagine, initially you were just going to parties that you would go to anyway. Are you now getting invites from people that are throwing parties? Are they inviting you to show up and hoping that you'll take photos at their parties, or how's that working?
Yeah, more and more. I do get a lot of invites to go to different parties. I mean, it's very possible if I do get an invite and it looks interesting, and it's very possible that I will show up and go to the party, because whenever I do go out, I don't just go to one place. I'm a venturous nightlifer, and so I'll probably go to 4 places, 5 places if I do decide to go to an after party. But I do try to hit as many scenes as I can and see as many friends as I can. And in Denver, more than likely, if I show up somewhere, I am going to recognize and know somebody friendly, a friendly face that I recognize. So
it's not just nightclubs that you're going to. You go to a multitude of different places. So talk about some of the places where people might see you out and about.
typically, I like to start off at a gallery. I do love going to the galleries and seeing the art and seeing the people and drinking all their fabulous free boxed wine. It's a perfect way to start your night. I do kind of wish, do you remember before the pandemic when they used to put out snacks?
Yes.
You used to go to a gallery and they used to have like a table full of snacks, and you would have your wine. I don't find snacks very often, else that would be my dinner if that was an option. And then I typically go out to, I go to like a lot of concerts. I go to DIY spaces where I might find live music. I like punk and metal bands, and sometimes a little bit of hip hop. So yeah, I really tend to go wherever I think it's interesting. But I do tend to say I only go out whenever it's dark outside. So you'll never see me during the daytime at any of these events. But yeah, I'll go to the art shows and to the concerts and to the nightlife and clubs.
I love the fact that you only go out at night. I think that's phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I do not like it when somebody sends me a function that's during the day. I'm like, are you kidding me? No. Make it a little bit later and then I'll try to join you.
There you go.
Have you always been a night owl?
Oh yes, always. Since I was a little kid, I would always stay up very, very late, and I feel like I really turn on at night, and that's whenever I feel like being social, and about the time when people are trying to go to sleep, that's whenever I'm really feeling my best.
You mentioned LA earlier, Los Angeles. So do you go to Los Angeles a lot? Is that a place, or is it just some place you're going to new?
I like to go to LA a couple times a year. I do have some friends that live out there, some club kids that know where all the great parties are. I also go to Pride events. And so I go to LA and Long Beach. I have been to San Diego a few times, but LA, I really do love it. I love the people there. And I do catch some in my circle, some really famous people whenever I'm kind of out and about, just on random. And that's always very exciting whenever I run into somebody who is on RuPaul's Drag Race and get their photo, or one of the nice musicians that's super famous. I do love those moments. And that's something that you really only find in LA, unless you get a backstage pass or sneak backstage here in Denver, which I have also been known to do.
Right. So my question that kind of leads into this, now that I know that you go to LA fairly often, is it counterculture in LA different than it is in Denver?
Yes, it's so glamorous. People look so expensive. They wear these really nice clothes, and they have the best makeup. And I'm pretty good at spotting somebody very expensive and knowing that there's somebody of importance, and that I need to take their photo. They also have bigger lips there. And so I do find that whenever I get back to Denver after an extended trip to LA, I am looking at my face being like, girl, you could use just a little bit of filler. I always do think that. But then that kind of wears off because not everybody does that here. But they all seem to do it in LA, at least the places that I go to.
Yeah, I think Botox is really famous there.
Oh, Botox. I mean, that's just child's play. Everybody gets Botox.
I love it. That's awesome. I can only imagine that would be. I used to live in LA a long time ago, and it was definitely a different type of city than anywhere else I've been. And so I was just kind of curious what the counterculture is, because I can only imagine it's like Denver then on steroids. It's just like out of this world counterculture.
It's really interesting. It's interesting how LA reminds me of Colfax. It kind of looks like Colfax. It smells like Colfax. The streets and the sidewalks kind of smell like pests. But then you go into these places and they are so beautiful and so glamorous, and they have all the best shops. It's a nice little contrast, and I really do enjoy that. I really especially love West Hollywood.
You also spend time in Austin, is that correct? Or you have spent time in Austin?
Yeah, I have spent some time in Austin. They have some very good live music down there. I do like to travel down there every once in a while to go see bands, live music, and have a good time out there.
And how does that compare and contrast to the Denver scene?
It's very similar, as where it is a little bit, it can tend to be a little bit more casual. But it's still a pretty stylish city if you know where to go.
So is that how you would describe Denver, like very casual? Because I feel like we're very casual here.
Oh my goodness, it is very casual. But I mean, it has some very glamorous people out there too. So I mean, it really just depends on where you go. I do think that the drag culture here in Denver, the drag performers, I mean, which is really popular right now. We got some really good talent there. They're always very fashionable. I do feel like right now is probably my favorite punk scene that I've seen, where they're very fashionable as well. They have their spikes and they have their colored hair and beautiful makeup. So yeah, I think Denver can be pretty fashionable if you know where to look.
And you've been part of the club scene since the early 2000s, right?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you how long I've been part of the club scene. I might give a little bit too much away, but I have been part of the club scene for quite a while. And I think that's one reason why this collection of photos means so much to me, is because I have seen the Denver scene grow and change, and I've had friends that have moved away, and I really do wish that I have had more photos from an earlier time than what I do now, because they are all my memories, and they're very fond memories for the most part that I like to treasure.
Yeah, like we all do. We love looking back at our photos that we take. Oh, that's so cool. I love this. This is fun. I love what you're doing.
So how's it evolved over time? I mean, is it better, do you think, or do you kind of wish for like, there's been a lot of growth in Denver in the last 10 years. Do you kind of wish for the days before it got a little crazy with the building and people moving here?
I think that it's different. I wouldn't say that it's better or the people are better or worse than what they were in the past. There's some really great things that have changed and evolved as well. I mean, the fact that you can call an Uber on your phone and you can track it and the drivers, that's very convenient. I remember calling the 303-333-3333 and then just kind of getting stranded in part of town. And then you would have to walk in your tall shoes all the way to try to find downtown. And it just really wasn't the best. But I do miss my old stomping grounds, and I do miss some of the friends that are no longer here because unfortunately they're not able to afford it. That I do definitely miss. But I think you'll find that if you know where to look, you can still find the same scene that was back then. Now you just you got to do the work and you got to figure out where to go look, and you can always find a friend.
I love that. I love how you just described that. You can always find the scene. You just got to do the work, and it's work, right? You gotta put in the time.
Yeah, I mean, I am on Instagram all the time, checking out different parties. If I go out for a night, I'm going to be doing a roll call, figuring out where everybody's going to be. It is definitely very hard work, but if you know where to go, it's definitely rewarding.
How much time a week do you spend trying to suss out like what might be happening on any given weekend so that you can kind of have a plan of attack?
My finger is on the pulse at all times. I have to be going through stories. I'm saving posts. Now Instagram has a nice little reminder. I don't know if you've seen that, but if there is an event, you can push get a reminder and then it'll let you know the event's happening. That's a really nice feature that they just brought out. And so it's just something that I always have to be looking at. And then you also can't be afraid to ask either. I do know my favorite venues, and I do know that if I'm going to go out on a Saturday night, I might just go ahead and send them a message and say, hey, I looked and I didn't see that anything. Your calendar hasn't been updated in 2 months. Can you please let me know what's happening this weekend? And you just have to kind of feel it out. And sometimes it might just seem like a very interesting event, and I might not exactly know what it is, but sometimes it's worth checking out and popping in and just seeing who's there real quick. And then you can just always pop out if you need to.
Right. Is there any place on the web or Westword or anything that, in addition to you keeping the pulse on the community, that is there a site for people to find what's going on? Is there like an underground culture scene website kind of thing?
I would say no. Instagram's going to be the best bet. Eventbrite, every once in a while, I'll go and see what might be happening. But really, there's Westward has taken off their calendar of events. They do like these little wrap ups. That's like the top 9 things to see in Denver. So I do pay attention to the art one, but especially with the stuff that's less known that I might go and see. I don't tend to go to very big events, very popular events, but you would tend to have to kind of be in the know.
Gotcha. If somebody was new to Denver or they're listening to this podcast and they know they're going to visit Denver, is there a couple clubs you recommend or places to go to like really experience what you're experiencing?
Yeah, a good place to go if you're wanting to go out. I would say for people who are just wanting to get started in the club scene here, I always suggest to go to Milk. Milk Bar is over on Broadway. It's got a few different levels and different genres in each room. So it has a good variety. It's kind of a multiplex type of club. And so that's really nice because, especially if you're having a cocktail, you're going to have a great time, but you're going to find a room that best suits you and you'll enjoy it. And they have a lovely patio if you're going during the summertime. Let's see. Also, I love Seventh Circle, which is a DIY space. Federal and Coliseum-ish. I don't even know the exact address. It's kind of hidden, but you can look them up on Instagram. That's a DIY venue, all ages, and that one has a variety of local live music and also some smaller touring bands. And then, some smaller music venues around town are pretty popular. Lost Lake, Globe Hall. For some suggestions.
Nice. Thank you. I think people are always wondering what to do or where to go. So I think this is a great opportunity for people that are listening and plan on going to Denver to check out a couple of those spots and then go from there. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. If you're interesting, go down Broadway. If you're the boring type that's just going to wear your cargo shirts, you can just go ahead and stick downtown and I think you'll be just fine.
Love that. So if you're out and about and you see a woman with multiple cameras in her hands, you found the spot.
Yeah, with big hair. You'll see I have big hair. I have platforms. I have multiple cameras whenever I'm truly working and on a project, like with this Leon Gallery show coming up. I have my phone, my 2 cameras in hand, and I am like meaning business.
You have big hair, but you're beautiful. And I love what you got going on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you worked for a company for a little bit where you had access to certain events and Polaroid film. Can you talk a little bit about that? And was that kind of your introduction into instant film?
Yeah, I would say that was definitely the introduction into film. I was working for a company where there were multiple marketing reps that would go out in the nightlife, and they would capture information and they would throw the best parties. And we would have these large branded parties in multiple venues around town, and we always would like to have a takeaway. And so one of the takeaways would be a Polaroid picture of an individual or with a group of friends. And whenever I wasn't working and wasn't doing an event, when I wasn't a rep, I would actually borrow that camera and stick a few packs of the Polaroid film into my purse, and then I'd take it off to the concerts, and I would take some of those instant photographs. And to this day, those are the photographs that I have. I don't have any other photographs during those wild party times and drunken nights, but I've always seemed to save my Polaroid pictures. And I find that a lot with people that I take photographs of. If somebody takes a Polaroid of you, typically that's something that's special and that's something to be treasured. And you might put it on your refrigerator. I've seen people keep it in their wallet or in their phone case. Put it where they get ready in the morning by their mirror. So, but it is something that people like to keep, a souvenir.
It's a memento of that moment, that time. And unlike digital, everybody's walking around with phones or digital cameras or whatever, you actually have this physical thing, which I think means something still, right? It's special. Analog is still something to relish and it's special. It is special.
And it's hardy too. I don't know if you know this, but you could take one of those instant films and you could spill a glass of wine on it or keep it in your pocket and wash it in the washer, and guess what? It's going to be just fine. So they're very long lasting.
And Polaroid film's been around forever. And then, Polaroid kind of went away and Fuji kind of took over that market. Now Polaroid's been making a comeback for a number of years, but I think it's cool that you're using these Fuji cameras. So talk a little bit about that. You talked about the Instax cameras, but there's different models, right? Do you have multiple models?
Oh yes, I do. I definitely try a lot of them. One of the challenges that I have to work through as a nightlife photographer is cocktails and settings. They don't really always get along. So I need a point and shoot camera that always looks good. That's very easy for me to manage. And so I have the Neoclassic is my favorite. That's a little bit of an upgrade from the colorful ones, the kind of the toy looking ones. That's an upgrade. And then just recently I got the Evo, which is a digital Instax. And so that one has a viewfinder. That one's fine. With my Neoclassic, I tend to, especially after a few cocktails, I can't really I tend to cut people's heads off, which is just fine. But with the new one, with the viewfinder, with the digital display, I can actually see my subjects before I take their photo.
Gotcha. That's really interesting. So even with the digital one, it still spits out a piece of instant film?
It does. It will spit out the photograph, but will also save it to the memory card that I put in it. And so I can print it at any time that I want to. However, there is a quality difference. You won't notice it. If you're just a photographer going around town, you will not notice the quality difference. Where you're going to notice it is whenever you try to scan it and enlarge it. And so I have been, for my gallery shows, what I do is I scan these little Instax photos and then I blow them up to 500, 800 times the size to about a 20 by 30 size or a 30 by 40 size. And that's where you might find a little bit of a quality difference. It doesn't bother me too much because I do like my photos a little bit unrefined. I mean, they're scratched. They got lipstick smears on them. They got smudges and they're probably a little bit dirty. So, it doesn't really bother me too much, but you can definitely see the difference.
Gotcha. You talked about how you take 2 photographs of your subject, one that you keep and one that you give away. Do you look at them before you choose which one you're going to keep and which one you give away? Or is it just like, this is mine, I'm taking it now, and then I take a second one and I give that away?
Typically, I know. But I will say this. So typically, it's a second photo. The first photo is this magic experience of somebody that's been out partying where they might not realize that I have a instant camera. So when that photo spits out and then I give it to them, they get really happy. And so their second photo, they're feeling especially a lot of joy. And so that photo is typically a little bit better than the first. But it has happened where I gave the wrong photo and I took the wrong photo. But I am not too shy if I see them post it and they tag me. There has been a couple situations where I regretted it and I've reached out to them and asked them if I could trade them back. And then I've gotten them a little gift in exchange. I might go to a little store and get them like a little trinket or give them a nice little poster, but for their time, because I really do hate to do that. I do think a photo is going to go into a gallery that's good enough to that. I'm definitely not shy about asking for that photo back. And everybody's so kind about it. It's a free thing. But I also do put a sticker on the photos that I give that have my Instagram name on it. So it says Shadows Gather. And so they can find me on Instagram. That way they know how to tag me.
It's so smart.
Then I always say I don't do it for money. I do it for fame. So to please put it on Instagram and tag me.
I love that. I love the thought behind it. So social media, especially Instagram, it sounds like, have been very pivotal in this whole journey that you've been on as a photographer and documenting all these folks at night in different clubs, at concerts, or what have you.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely been, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have Instagram as a tool for socializing, for getting my photos out there, for connecting with people in the nightlife world, and even in the art world. I feel like Instagram is very important to what I do, but it also has, you know, its downfalls as well, and I'm very aware of those. So it's definitely a love-hate relationship. I need it. I love it. But at the same time, I know it's not all good for me. And I know the heart isn't in the right place of where Instagram was and Instagram is.
Were you on Instagram prior to posting these photographs in 2019 when you first started doing this?
Here and there. I dabbled in it. I didn't exactly find it as useful as I do now. But I was on it, yes.
Are there any other social media platforms you use besides that?
There is a Facebook page that is linked up to my Instagram.
Okay.
I do not check it. It just feeds into there. I mean, that's really about it. If I do see, for instance, photographers getting a little bit upset about Instagram and then moving over to a blog platform or a newsletter platform, whenever they decide to give up Instagram, I can't do it anymore. I do follow them. I try to see where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realize that it's not user friendly. And I don't have the time to learn, to understand, to navigate multiple platforms. I would love to find another platform that fit for photography and what I do, but there's just nothing yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish somebody could create a platform that was like really, really geared for photographers, because I think Instagram is great, and I think it was like you. I think it was better when it first came out. But I use it because we have to, that's kind of where, but I would love to find a different one. That's for sure.
I'm with Wes. The Instagram is great for some things, but we relate to the party with the podcast. And I know that talking with other people that, they've mentioned, like yourself, that the algorithm has changed. So it's not the same as it was before, but you have close to 10,000 followers now. How have you seen that it's changed since you've been on it and utilizing it as a tool?
I've definitely seen, people aren't seeing the posts the way that they used to. You have an audience that has said, I want to follow this photographer, this artist, because I am interested in the art that they provide and the content that they provide on Instagram. But yet there is no true way to ever reach every follower on your Instagram. I will tell you that I have had, and this is so funny, my biggest shares are going to be memes. And so I had a meme that was very funny. I thought it was so cute. And I had over 550 shares of that meme. And you would think that your entire audience at that point would have been able to see or start picking up the algorithm. And I still only had less than half of my followers actually see that post and see other posts after that. There used to be on Facebook an option where you could advertise to all of your followers. That was a really, really nice feature. And I wouldn't even mind paying on Instagram for certain posts for my followers to actually see that. But there is no guarantee, and really, it would be really hard to reach all my followers at any given time, even though they subscribed.
Right. Yeah. We've tried some of that type of marketing. I don't think we really got much out of it. I feel like I could just stand here and burn dollar bills and I'd be in the same boat.
There are some tricks. for people to see your posts, and you can do advertising to let people know that aren't really your followers that you have something to show them. But you really got to be able to navigate Instagram and know these tricks.
You sound like a pro. So are you willing to share a couple of these tips for people that are out there that utilize Instagram that are artists?
Yes, it is very, very important that every once in a while you use what God gave you. So you show a little ass, you show some tits. And then no matter what, somebody's going to, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you can actually say that, but it does work. It really does. It really does work. You can also, you have to be careful with words. So if you have a post that has words on it, Instagram is going to think that there's going to be a bot that scans your image. It's going to think that you are advertising, and it's not going to get pushed out to the algorithm. So you need compelling images that help get that reach. And it could be something where you have a photograph, and then the second slide, it tells about your event. But maybe that first post picture, it might need to be a picture, and then more people will see it. And then tagging location, tagging people, tagging all of that helps. And I'm sure you've heard about doing reels. That's definitely something that you're supposed to do. I don't do reels as often as I should, but reels are the video posts that you can do on Instagram, and that will get you a better algorithm. If Instagram releases a new trial, a new way to post, it's always in your best benefit to try it, because they are going to give you a better reach than some of their, I guess, more classic styles of posting. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And that's really interesting. I mean, it seems, knowing the little bit I do about social media and doing it as long as I have now, that makes complete sense. Like, they want you to try the new stuff. So if you want to get your stuff out there and there's a new tool, you should utilize it. You might get a larger reach, right?
Right.
Well, I know what our next trick is we're going to do Todd Tuesdays, where Todd shows his hiney on Tuesdays and Wes shows his ass on Wednesdays. So Wes Wednesdays and Todd Tuesdays. And it's all about butts. Go. It's all about butts.
Butts and breasts?
That's right. Well, okay. Man boobs.
That works.
So let me ask you this, and I don't mean it in the nude sense, but have you thought about fans only pages? A page for fans only, where people would pay you to, to go maybe further, a little deeper into what you do or your process or where you've been, or some extra photos that maybe were at the scene that nobody else is getting to see for free, but maybe a small fee, a monthly fee for your subscribers?
Instagram did release a subscriber channel where you could have people could subscribe to your content. I feel like that was our way of trying to get some of the OnlyFans money through their platform. But I haven't really seen it I've been watching people who have done it, and they don't seem to do it for very long, which makes me think that probably isn't going to be that successful for me. And I don't really have the time to go out and to create original content for my 5 friends that decide to support me.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, you got a pretty significant following now. I just thought, I don't think an Only's fan page for our Tenant podcast would work very well, because I don't think we have enough of, like, you need quite a few followers. And like you were talking earlier, the TNA really sells really well on OnlyFans. But I know there's a lot more out there than that kind of material. So I know other people are using it in different ways.
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of different ways that you can utilize OnlyFans for original content. And I really haven't found that way to go that fun, I guess. I would rather just stick to Instagram. I do find other ways to, perhaps make a little side money, little side hustles. I do have some merch, some shirts that I sell that are very metal and very cute. Um, I also have a zine coming out for the show and some posters, some affordable posters. And so, I mean, really, it's just about finding more time to be on Instagram if I wanted to be. And at this point, I feel like I'm kind of maxed out and I don't have the time to create more content than what I do. It's really hard to keep up as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to that. It is, you only have so much bandwidth, and boy, any of these things will tap that out in a hurry. So
now, if you were in a position to have somebody work for you, would you do that? Help build your brand?
Oh, that's a very good question. I have had friends take over my Instagram page whenever I'm on vacation. I have had people help me in the studio when doing some wheat pasting, but I don't feel like I'm at the place where I can afford to hire on anybody else. I pay a publicist to help me out, and that's probably the most beneficial employee that I have as an artist.
So that's been a good thing, having your own publicist that gets out press releases and makes people aware of things that are going on, like this show that you have coming up.
It's definitely been very beneficial for me. I do not love writing. I've seen some interesting opportunities from having a publicist on doing some stuff that I don't necessarily want to do or have time for. Sometimes it does get a little bit crazy, and I want people to know about my shows, but I don't quite have time to let everybody know or send out individual invites to the exhibits or the events that I'm having. So having a publicist has really helped me navigate that. And as an artist, especially as an artist, a photographer I'm early along in my career. So it seems like since I've been doing this since 2019, whenever you go and fill out an application for a residency or an application to have your artwork, an open call to have your artwork up in a gallery, a lot of times they send you out this form to fill out and they want to know where you've shown before. But they also ask what if you haven't had any press in the past. And so by having press, it navigates a situation where I might not have had a master's in fine arts, but what I do have is a very cute face and a publicist that gets me into the papers every once in a while and online. So it has been extremely helpful for me.
Do you have any kind of a marketing background at all? Because you seem very savvy when it comes to this stuff.
I do love marketing. Yeah, I've been in the marketing world for a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think you're smart, like hiring out what you think that what you feel comfortable, paying for with somebody else. Those tasks that you just don't want to do. Like you said, I don't really care to do the writing thing. So why not hire somebody that does it well and you can depend on, right?
Yeah. And you will find that your friends have these talents that you might not exactly have. And especially, if you want to keep your hobby or your career as an artist, if you want to keep that fun and enjoyable, then don't do what you don't want to do. If you don't want to do an artist talk and sit in front of everybody, you don't really have to do that. There are other tricks to doing something similar.
Such as?
My friend told me about a walk and talk, which I found very interesting. My friend Mark Sink, who is also a photographer, has a retrospective coming up over at Redline. And he was telling me about this thing that he does called a walk and talk, where you walk around the gallery and you talk about all of these wonderful pieces of artwork. But the glory of that is the people are behind you and you're not looking at them, you're looking at your artwork. So you don't see all of these eyes on you. And then you don't get those nervous little sweaty palms, which I get. And so that's just a nice little trick. You also, I do events around town, and you don't have to host the event. You can simply just sit up front with your wine glass and then have somebody else host it for you, and then wave to everybody and tell them thank you for coming. I mean, it's really that easy. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
I love that.
I do too. That's awesome.
And you've been hosting various events for a while, parties and events, right? I mean, that's something you've done previous.
I love to throw parties. I'm very good at it. I'm very good at getting a group of people together and showing them what I see and having a fabulous time. I have done stuff with the Rhino Arts District and No Vacancy, which was a warehouse space where we threw the best parties and drag shows. And then I always have parties going on, so just keep in contact with my social media. But I have a event that I probably should talk about called Point and Shoot. Point and Shoot. It's a photography social. And that will be with Rhino Arts District. We're still working on a date, but it's looking to be in March. And that's where photographers get together and just have a nice social. You know how I don't like to get in front of people and do a talk, so I don't want anybody else to have to do that either. So we just get some beer, have some cocktails, show some art, and have a nice little time together. So I will be bringing that event back in March with Rhino Arts District. And then I'll probably do some parties over the springtime and the summer as well.
And you mentioned residencies before. You had a residency, correct? With No Vacancy?
Yes, I did have a residency with No Vacancy, and that was the warehouse over in the Rhino Arts District. That was during the summer of 2020. 22, 21. It was a very nice time. That was the first residency, actually the only residency I've ever had. I remember getting the call saying that I was going to have the residency, and I didn't quite remember filling out that application. And I had to Google what a residency was. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. And it was the best time that I have ever had. It got me out that I was able to meet all these artists that I wouldn't have ever had the opportunity to work with. And especially in a warehouse space with free reign, we were able to have a really great time and create a lot of great art, have a lot of great drag shows. I did a great show with Hexorcist, a performer here in town. But yeah, I would love to do that again.
So what did you focus on in your residency? Was it the drag queen kind of stuff, or was it something totally different?
That's where I really picked up wheat pasting. So the space was so big, and being a photographer and getting a residency is very special. I don't feel like we're given that opportunity very often. And so I really wanted to paste the faces of Denver on these walls and really showcase the beautiful, thriving communities we have in town. And so I did quite a few 8-foot by 8-foot walls with large black and white grids and large, colorful images painted or plastered on top of each other, these collages with neon lights.
That sounds so cool.
I've loved wheat pasting ever since. I'm actually going to have some wheat pasted work at the Leon Gallery for a month of photography.
Nice. I love that. That sounds so interesting. I'd love to have seen it. Yeah.
And you've had the opportunity to, in the short amount of time you've been doing this, you've had multiple shows that you've been a part of, like in group scenarios, right? But also you had your first solo show as well, right?
Yes, I had my first solo show at Dateline Gallery in the Rhino Arts District, which sadly isn't there any longer. We for the last month of photography, which was very odd to come out of the pandemic. We were still wearing masks. We all were still a little bit timid of each other. The bars and the nightlife were closed. There wasn't much to do in town. And the club kids were able to come to the gallery and really celebrate what we used to know in the clubs, and what we really weren't sure when we would get back.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more about that in the pandemic, because you started this pre-pandemic and you're used to going out and having fun and seeing your friends and documenting what's going on. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hits and everything comes to a screeching halt. Like, how did you negotiate those waters?
Well, I didn't negotiate them very well. I would say for a while I was just really drunk and crying in the bathtub, but it ended up being a bit, we ended up figuring it out. Probably some of my favorite things, this is so weird to talk about, my favorite things during the pandemic, probably some of the odder things where there was this parking lot. I was just talking about this the other night. There was this parking lot party. It was called Dark Lots. And they would have a Twitch DJ streaming, and they would bring out these speakers, these karaoke speakers that they had at the house. Like, nobody had equipment, right? So they would put these karaoke speakers in a parking lot, and then people would park in a circle, and they would put their tailgates down. And then everybody would sit at their car and listen to the music. Some people would bring their roller skates. And they would have these little house disco balls that didn't really do anything, that were kind of battery powered out, like in the back of their cars and in the parking lot, trying to create some sort of vibe. Some people put lights in the back of their cars, but everybody was really too afraid to go and socialize with other cars. You might walk around and then, stand like 10 feet away from people and just say hi with your mask on and wave at them. But I would still look my best. And at that point, I did not bring my Polaroid camera because I was getting a little bit too close to people to have an Instax camera. You have to get kind of close. So I didn't have that, but I did start shooting on a 35 millimeter camera at that time.
Interesting. It was such a weird time, right?
It was so weird and it was so scary.
You're self-taught in doing this, but it sounds like you have a relationship to the camera all the way back from being part of yearbook. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I really didn't consider myself a photographer until recently. Not a serious photographer by any means. I did start taking photographs whenever I was in high school. I was part of the yearbook committee, but I didn't take photos because I wanted to or because I liked to. I really knew that was going to get me out of class, And then back then I really did enjoy the sunshine. I really did enjoy it. And my favorite was I would get out of class to go photograph the golf team. Can you imagine the golf team? And that was like an all-day excursion. And you would get in one of those little buggies and you get to drive around and smoke weed and take photos. It was just don't tell my teachers that, but it was a lot of fun. So yes, I was a yearbook photographer. Later down the road, I did end up very randomly working for a news organization here in town. And I was kind of in charge of writing like these little listings about restaurants or, little businesses that want to advertise. But, the people who read the news are very particular with their grammar, and they didn't think that I was the best writer. So they still liked me because I was a hard worker, but they gave me a nice camera, like a really nice camera. And they would have me go to these concerts. Oh my goodness. They would have me go to these concerts that nobody else wanted to go to. And they would try to have me take photos of the bands. But of course I was out there and I couldn't figure out the settings. You're not supposed to have your flash on. So I started taking pictures of the crowd. So I would go to these concerts. I would try to take pictures. I might get one out of, 500 because the little shutter thing, it just clicks so many photos. So I just go through there and find the best photo I could. But my best photos were the ones of the crowd. And those actually became really popular with that website. And so we would do the web sliders, and people would go and see their photos, and they would share them, because I've always been good at the close-up intimate photos.
Nice. I love that.
So really what you do, this has been kind of an evolution that's been happening for a while. And that's kind of your roots, right? Like, you know, you were happy to be at the concert taking photos, but really what you were interested in is the people that were actually enjoying the show, the people the various characters that you would see in the crowd, and capturing those moments of them enjoying themselves or being themselves out and about and having a good time, right?
It's the best way to meet people. I don't know of a better way to meet people in a very cool crowd of punk rockers. How else are you gonna go up to them? You're gonna, if you have a camera in your hand, that's kind of an instant hello, how are you? I'm gonna take your photo and we're gonna have this nice little moment. And now we have social media where they can always be connected to you if they choose to follow you and connect.
So I want to talk about that a little bit, as far as when you're at this party and the club, when you walk up to somebody, do you ask them you're going to take pictures, or do they just know that you're going to take pictures because you're shooting everybody? What's your approach?
I'm definitely not shooting everybody. I probably only shoot a handful of people in each club that I go to, because that film is so expensive. And sometimes there's only so many people that look great. Just kidding. No, that was very mean of me. I go up to them and I introduce myself. Hi, my name is Shadow. I would like to take your photo. I'll take one for you and I'll take one for me. And so I feel like consent is key for me. I never want to take somebody's photo where they don't want to be photographed. I would say most of the time people get very excited, very eager to get their photo taken. And sometimes you might think somebody might be super shy, but as soon as you pull out that camera, you get a different side of them. I really do respect people's privacy as well. And I never get offended if somebody's having an off day and they don't want to get their photo taken. But I will tell you this, that most of the people I take photos of, they dress the way they dress and they act the way they act because they want the attention, because they want to get their photo taken. They want to be approached. And so it's definitely a compliment if I was to approach somebody and to take their photo.
Especially because you're known, right? So it's like if you're approaching me, you're seeing something and people know who you are, it's kind of an honor, right?
I would say sometimes people know who I am. I definitely wouldn't say all the time, because I do try to approach people that I might not know. But yeah, sometimes people are surprised that me being the character that I am, with the hair, with the heels and the makeup, they might be a little bit shocked that I'm wanting to take their photo. Sometimes they might be wanting to take a selfie with me, but it's not about me. I actually don't really enjoy getting my photo taken, but I will. I would rather take other people's photo and hide behind the camera because I am a little shy.
Tenet wants to acknowledge our media sponsor, New Magazine. That's N-U-E. You can follow both the national and the Denver edition of New Magazine on Instagram. The national edition can be found at new_magazine, and the Denver edition at new_Denver_magazine. And I want to share with you something very exciting. Check out the newly launched New Denver Gallery Guide. Look for the signage that says New Denver Gallery Guide that has a QR code. Scan it with your phone, and you have instant access to a comprehensive digital guide to Denver's finest galleries and exhibitions. Find this QR code in your favorite gallery, hotel, or coffee shop as you visit and explore Denver. Thanks for listening.
I'm Shadows Gather, and you are listening to Tenet Podcast.
But talk about how and why your iPhone is an important part of your equipment. This is a photograph you just recently posted, and I pulled it up because it was, I think it's compelling. But talk a little bit about the usage of the iPhone and why you utilize that.
Oh yes, I use my iPhone as my flash, or as the lighting for photographs. The toy cameras that I use don't have the best lighting, and so I have a phone case, a Lumi case is what they're called, and it has LED lights in it, which is really for selfies, and it's great at that. I take selfies with it all the time, but I also use it to light my subjects.
And talk about this particular photograph. This was actually taken last year, it looks like, but I love it. I mean, this person looks spectacular.
Yes, this was a photo that I took in LA. A lot of times the LA characters are very, very photogenic, and whenever you want to take a photo, they are ready and they have something to show you. So this was definitely somebody that I met. I met an entire group of people at this club, and I took a photo of every single one of them, and they all had the best personalities, and this was a really fun photo that I took.
That is a great shot. I love that. I love the way she's posing.
Yeah. And like you said, you have a lot of pictures of yourself, both selfies, and I read that you travel a lot of times with a photographer. Is that true?
I do. I used to more before the pandemic. I had a photographer, David Donnell, who would come with me to the clubs and take these wonderful photos of the process. That was really the way that I showed a behind the scenes look of my nightlife adventures. I do think it's very important as a photographer to show the process, to really be able to tell a story. And a lot of times, even if I'm not traveling with a photographer might take a photo and might send it to me at a later time. But I do have a lot of photographer friends that do love to come out with me.
That's cool. You talked about the selfie. How important is that selfie to you? Do you think that that's just as valid as anything else? Do you think the selfie is art as well?
I don't think anybody gives a selfie as much credit as they should. I think people have been taking self-portraits and doing self-portraits and fine art for a very long time. And some people really have a knack for taking a nice photograph of themselves and I can find the right angle of myself every single time. And I do think it's important for people to give some credit to people who take selfies. Stop laughing at me when I'm taking a photo of myself. It is fine art. Don't you think it's fine art?
Yeah.
I think anything can be fine art, and it's in the eye of the beholder. So the selfie is definitely a sign of our times, right? And I think it's a valid, there's places that you can go around town, that a selfie museum or something like that. I think my daughter went there one time, and they just had all these rooms where you could take pictures of yourself in these extravagant scenes and have this great photo of you. So why not, right?
Yeah, I think selfies are a lot of fun. And I also heard that by posting selfies in your Instagram story, you will have a better algorithm as well.
Oh.
So take some selfies.
I'm going to take more selfies.
Okay, Wes.
I'm on it.
So utilize the iPhone. And I love that you do that, because I didn't know until I started talking with you and I read just a little bit that these cameras really didn't put out that much. I guess they don't put out that much of a flash, right? They're not very powerful. And so they end up being dark unless you're like right on top of the people.
And I am right on top of the people. I'm very close whenever I take these photos. And the iPhone is definitely the trick. I can't tell you how many photographers are in my Instagram DMs telling me that I can use a cube, or I can use, there's these other lighting techniques that might be better for me. But here's the thing. Whenever I go out, I have my camera. And I also have a cocktail in my hands. I also want to take selfies and do a little Instagram post. I can't carry all of those things at one time. And I only have a little bag. I'm not a professional photographer. I mean, I'm not there for that, to have a rig. I have to use what I have in order to get the best photos. And that's what works for me.
I think that's brilliant, though, because it's very utilitarian. You're using the tools that you have with you, that you always have with you, and you've probably developed a technique that works really well. So why complicate it with the cube? I mean, they put out great light, but they might even be too much light, to be honest.
I believe that, if you can keep it simple, and I'm not one of those guys. I have tons of lighting equipment that I utilize all the time. So I'm not a simple guy, but I see other people that do what they do. And I think, God, what am I doing with all this crap? Like, I should just keep it a little bit more simple. So I love the fact that you have this technique that works really well for you, and your photos are great. Like, I love what I see on your Instagram, on your website. You're doing it right. And like, who cares what other people think? If it works for you, just keep doing it. Do you take a lot of flack from, you talked about how other photographers are like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. Do you take any kind of flack for the kind of photography that you do, or people being stupid about it?
Oh, I don't think I'd be where I am with these photos if I didn't have people who really told me what I should do, what I shouldn't do, how good my photos are, how my photos aren't that great. I do have a lot of critics. I remember during the Dateline show, whenever there was an article that came out in the Denver Post, there was people telling me that I needed to be saved and find Jesus, and how I need to get a real camera. And I do get a lot of that. And I try not to listen to it, because out of every three people that have something bad to say, I have about 100 that will stand behind my work and really truly support me.
I think you need to do what you're doing, because you're definitely capturing something in a unique way that I don't see every day. And I really like these pictures that you're doing. I think there's a lot of artistic expression in them. I love the way you compose some of them. And I know some of it's just probably in the heat of the moment, but I mean, they're just fun to look at. And I think they're really stellar.
Thank you so much.
So do you consider what you're doing fine art?
That has been a question that I've been asking myself since really the very beginning. There was a moment whenever I started taking photos, and a photographer invited me to First Friday and asked me if I wanted to buy a space on their wall to hang some art and to hang some of my photos. And I didn't really want to pay to put my work on the wall. But what it did do is get me thinking about what art is, and if I was to take my photography and show it in a gallery, where I would want to take it. And I always knew from the very beginning that I did want to try to turn these photos into fine art. Not for me, but for the people that are in them. I think a lot of people think that you need to have a model type, but I think that, the everyday people that you see in a nightclub, that they're just as beautiful as some of these models that you see and some of these professional photographers. But I really wanted to see how far that I could take my photography. So I went down a path of what would fine art be? And to me, what fine art is doing the best work that you can. And especially for having photos that are instant photos, which might seem lowbrow to some in the photography world, I wanted to see the best way that I could elevate them. And to me, that was blowing them up as large as I could and keeping the quality there. I also wanted to I did some research, and I found, to me, who I thought was the best printer in town, like-minded, who helped me find the right paper, find archival paper that would suit my photographic style, was to take these photos that I had printed and take them over to get framed from a nice framer in town, not just taking them to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, to actually take it to somebody who had a lot of pride in their craftsmanship. And I think probably one of the hardest journeys on the way of getting my photos to where they are is figuring out the scanning and how to get those photos to scale. I don't think a lot of people realize that the time it takes behind scene to really make these photos come to life in a gallery. It takes knowing how to use a scanner, knowing how to use Photoshop. And that's something that it's taken me it's taken me years to develop. And that's fine art. That's doing it the best that I possibly can. And then whenever I find a new tool that might be better, giving it a try and seeing if it is possible to enhance the photos.
I completely agree with you. And, Andy Warhol has taken Polaroids, in his lifetime, and he's recognized for those Polaroids and a multitude of other people. So, for somebody to say that it's not fine art, that's just bullshit. Just because, they don't see it as that doesn't mean that there's not somebody that sees that as fine art. So don't ever, I know you don't take it, hopefully you don't take it to heart, but really those people that are haters or want to debate whether or not it's fine art, screw them. It doesn't matter. It's fine art. I'm telling you right now. So scanning these things, because these pictures that you get from these Fuji cameras, they're pretty small, right? Like, what is the size that comes out of the camera?
They are 2 by 3 inches.
2 by 3 inches, and then you're blowing these up to 30 by 40 and 20 by 30. You said?
Yeah, I'm enlarging them to what I would consider probably the maximum size for me to do printing. And it really depends on which camera I use as well. I have found that one of my cameras, the one that is the Instax digital, enlarging it to a 30 by 40, it doesn't look as well as my neoclassic, which is the standard traditional Instax camera. So it did take a lot of trial and error. There was one point where we thought taking a photo of it was going to be best, or trying the drum scanner over at Mike's camera. Tried that, but that was going to be like $50 a scan, and their scanner was dirty, and I needed to have more control, and so I bought a scanner, a good scan. I invested in a scanner, and that's been a game changer for me. So I'm able to scan my own photos.
Nice. Now you got complete control. That's awesome. I love that.
And right there, having that control and knowing the process, that, like you said, is part of it being fine art. You're putting in the time, you're doing it, you're controlling it, making sure that it looks the way that you want it to be presented to the viewer. I think that says a lot about you as an artist.
Thank you. And I do leave them for this show. I do leave them very, very as is. So they do have scratches on them. They might have a little bit of dust if I'm okay with it, as long as it's not on facial features. But I do like to keep them as they are. And even if the photo is a little bit blurry, that's all part of the process too. I'm out in the clubs having my cocktails, and not everything's going to be perfect. And I think that's one thing with social media, is everything is filtered. And these photos that I'm posting, and they're true. I'm cutting off people's heads. Some of them are blurry. They're not quite perfect. And that's why I really do love them. And I think people connect with them.
Yeah. There's one that you have on your website that's called Shadow and Chaos. Picture of you, as like a picture of you and I guess the person named Chaos. And I love that the fact that there looks like it might be some kind of either wine stains or lipstick stains that are on the bottom part of the photograph or on the edge. And you left it on. What I think is cool about that, I would have like cleaned it up, right? Just because that's who I am. But the fact that you're like, this is the photograph, this is the environment was taken in, and I'm going to leave it. I love that. I think that is amazing. And I wouldn't have changed. I'm glad you didn't change that. That is so cool.
Thank you very much. I do like seeing those imperfections, and this particular one was sitting in the bottom of my bag for a while, and I had some makeup that spilled in it, and I thought it added to the photo. So I do keep them gritty, even if I do drop them in the alley and swipe them back up. If there is a little bit of dirt or smears on them, I do like to keep that.
So if you were to show this and I don't know if this is part of your gallery show or not, but if you were, do you frame this, or are these frameless images that you would hang? I know you talked about having them professionally framed, so I was just kind of curious what you would use as a frame for something like these Polaroids.
I would show the full photograph with the Polaroid white border on it. And then I would leave, in this case, for this show, it was very exact. It was 2 3/4 of a white border around that. And then I had a white frame.
Nice.
And that was for every single photo in this particular show.
I think
do
that's
a lot of consistency.
I like that. And also using the white frame, it's not drawing attention away from the photograph. It's allowing the photograph to have all the attention. So I think that's perfect. I think you did a wonderful job of choosing that. Those are great photos. I love these. These are so much fun.
This is a photo that I really loved. I pulled off your Instagram, and this was just shot recently in January. Talk a little bit about this. This is from a nightclub, Charlie's Nightclub on Colfax.
This was a night. It was my photographer friend, Shane Still. He had a birthday party and invited me out. And this was a performer of the evening that was probably walking over to the bar to grab a cocktail. And I saw them, and they have this, I know you can't see it because this is a podcast, so they have this beautiful UV light outfit, this very, very colorful, and they're very excited that I wanted to take their photo. And this was a really interesting night for me. I hadn't been to Charlie's nightclub since the unfortunate shooting over in Colorado Springs. And whenever I entered this club, there was a bag check, and I've never encountered a bag check with my photography before. So they checked my fanny pack, they checked my backpack, which of course had all of my film, all of my stickers, and so I had to very quickly figure out what I was going to do with my film. I stuck, I think, 6 packs of film in my bra. I stuck my iPhone like in my pantyhose and in my skirt, and I went out with my camera for as long as I could, and got some really great photographs at this nightclub. And it was a very good mixture of people. This was a LGBTQ plus club where you'll find a combination of drag performers, people in the queer community, people just having a really great time. And it's off of Colfax, which is another really iconic area of Denver. And there's a little bit of a strip of a few nightclubs where people pop in and have drinks. And this was a really fun night for me.
I love that. I love hearing that story. I mean, we live in such a weird time, and it's tragic that these events continue to happen. But here you are, you're put in this position where security is a big deal, right? They got to protect the people that are there to have fun. But you were resourceful on the fly, and you're sticking packs of film wherever you can get them, right? So that you can go do your thing. And I love that. I love that that's an artist right there.
Thank you. As long as we're all safe, and I think it's good to have these safety precautions put in place. It is a different feeling going out whenever these precautions are in place, and after something tragic like that happens so close to home, it does make you it does put a different vibe in the air. So I am grateful for the community and for the security that they do provide.
Absolutely. If we were talking the 1970s, this wouldn't even be a thought. Like, nobody would think that you'd have to go through some kind of security protocol to, get into a club, let alone like everything else that we have to do today as far as concerts and that sort of thing. But I love hearing that story.
So can you talk about Legs? I just love this photo so much. Tell me about how this all came about and why you did this.
Oh, we were talking about a selfie museum earlier, and this happened to be one in the LA area that had a few horror movie scenes. That's actually me laying in the bathtub, and those are my legs. And a lot of times whenever I'm out and about, this was whenever I was out with a friend who was traveling with me from Denver. We would go to the selfie museum prior to going out and get some fun shots of each other for Instagram, and we would take photos. And this was one of the photos that came from that. In this photo, you can just see my legs, and they're popping up out of a bathtub, and you can see my gigantic platforms, and I feel like that's The Shining, that pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and a beautiful turquoise background.
Yeah, that's definitely a scene from The Shining, and I love the way you compose this piece. I love the fact that the bathtub is at an angle, that everything's not flat or level, and I love how you posed your legs. I think this is so cool. I love this picture.
How do you decide, because this one is an edition of 3, how do you decide what you're going to do an edition of?
For my 20 by 30s, I do all of those as an edition of 3. For
Okay.
my larger size images that I scale up to a 30 by 40, which not everybody can fit in their house because it's very large. And it's so expensive to print and to frame. I do those as just a single, just one of one. I have so many photos, and I don't want to. Once those 3 are sold, I will not go back to that photo and reprint. I say that now. I might print them in another size later, but more than likely I will not be doing any sort of printing of that photo because I have other photos to pay attention to and to showcase.
You don't sell smaller prints of these?
I do not.
Okay.
I only, the 20 by 30 is the smallest I go. At the show at Leon Gallery, March 31st through April 22nd, I will have a poster that is like a folded poster that you would get in the middle of a magazine. It's not the best quality, but it is a double-sided poster, and it's folded up, and you can hang it in your locker in your bedroom. I will have those, and that is a different type of photo that will be signed that I haven't ever released anything like that before, but I wanted to be able to offer a different variety for this show. And I will also have a zine that'll be released at for March 11th at the Leon Gallery as well.
So how did you decide on editions of 3 and then just 1 for your larger sizes?
I kind of leaned on my artist friends and on my printer. That was something that I discussed with Like-Minded and the gallery, and we just decided that a smaller run probably would do best, especially at the price of printing and the paper that I was printing on. That I don't know. I just kind of grabbed it. I thought it was a nice number, and everybody said that was a great idea, so we just ran with it. There really wasn't too much thinking other than I wanted people to feel like they were special if they bought it.
Yeah.
Well, definitely with editions of 1 and 3, that it definitely makes it special. And I love that you chose such a small number. So like this edition of legs, have you sold out of the edition, or is that still available?
That is still available. You can go ahead and just buy it if you would like to. Send me a DM.
So let's talk about the show at Leon Gallery. It opens March 11th. You're going to have an artist reception. Talk about what people are going to see there and the idea behind the show, Shadow Band.
First off, I feel very fortunate to be working with the Leon Gallery. It's a gallery that I've worked with in the past to create some wonderful events. I did their anniversary and fundraisers for them. They are a nonprofit that gives a lot back to the artist community. For this event at the Leon Gallery, there will be a lovely little reception with cocktails. It will be from 7 to 11. The artwork that you can find there it's just a celebration of all different types. You'll be able to see the wheat pasting images that I did on wood panels. I'll have a few of those. Then I'll also have some prints of photographs that have been censored on Instagram, or photos that I don't feel like I could necessarily get away with because of censorship. The show is called Shadow Bands. I decided to kind of go this direction because I had a stack of beautiful photos that I didn't feel comfortable with putting on Instagram because of the fact that I have been flagged in the past, and I didn't want to get in trouble and get my account taken away because we know how important that is. And so I created a show out of it. So you'll be able to see some work that you haven't seen on social media and some edgier stuff. I think what's really interesting about these photos is you might look at them and say, what is wrong with this photo? For instance, I have a photo with this woman putting her finger in the mouth, and it's a close-up of her finger in her mouth, and that was flagged on Instagram. And so it's really surprising sometimes the things that get taken down, because there really is no rhyme and reason. And whenever you go and look at the rules, which I have quite a few times, there is this major gray area. There is this area where it's kind of up to the bots and the person behind the computer that reviews this photo on how they feel about it, on if they like it or not. And some of those decisions that Instagram makes is very unfortunate, and it's not right. And so I'm out there wanting to kind of start a conversation about some of the censorship. And I know a lot of people in the artist community, a lot of people in the queer community, a lot of people out there in general have been facing these same issues. It's especially frustrating whenever you post something and it gets flagged, but you see another body type that might be different that can get away with it, or a certain influencer that can get away with these photos, but for some reason you weren't able to. So that's really what Shadow Band is about. That's some of the images that you can see there. I would say that it's definitely not the exhibit where you want to be bringing anybody probably under the age of 18, because especially to the opening, just because there are some photos of some things that you might want to review the show before you bring anybody else in. I'm not saying that it's inappropriate by any means, but it does take a look at it first before you make that decision.
I think that's smart. Yeah.
I'd just take my kids to it.
You would. Those poor kids have been exposed.
I did some other photography things that you'll see at the show. You'll actually see my entire collection of Instax photos. So that will be on display. That will not be for, none of the originals are ever for sale because I'm keeping them and archiving them. But you will be able to see over 1,000 Instax photos from the Denver Nightlife and from other parties. So that will be there. And then yeah, come by on March 11th and say hi to me and have a cocktail. Take a selfie.
And you're going to have viewfinders with selfies, memes, and the rude DMs from people who aren't fans or have sent disparaging messages to you over time.
Oh yeah, I felt like the viewfinder. So if you think of those little, I think they're either red or black whenever you were a little child, and you would put the little round insert in them and you'd flip through them. Doesn't that remind you of how you kind of scroll through Instagram? Yeah. Like you're just kind of flipping through these photos. And so I really wanted to, it's important for me to not only show the photography, but to paint the story for people who come to the exhibit. So I want them to see social media from my eyes and be able to understand what I go through. I came up through social media, and that's where I gained popularity. But it's not all fun. I mean, it's funny. I do like the memes, and I do show those, but I do show some more intimate things that might hit my inbox. The things that I will send to my friends and no one else, that will be in the viewfinder. So make sure you check those out.
I love that you're doing all this like special stuff in addition to just showing the photography. That there's a lot of thought put into this. And again, this is why You're a true artist. This is fine art. I want to look at some images with you that you sent me and talk a little bit about them. So this image that I have pulled up, you can see it, yeah?
Yes, I can.
Was this image actually banned on Instagram?
This one I never even posted because I knew it would be banned.
Yeah.
I knew this one would be banned. This is a close up of breasts, but the nipples are covered. Big, beautiful breasts with pasties on them. And this was from a drag performer. And the pasties are beautiful. They are stones. And I took this photo, but I was never able to post it because Instagram doesn't like close-ups of body parts.
Never? Like you can't get away with close-ups of...
You can't get away with close-ups of breasts or of other what would be considered private areas. So so the penis area, the ass, those sort of close-ups. I mean, some people can definitely get away with it. I cannot, because people do flag what I have, and that goes under close-ups. So I don't post that.
Okay.
Because I have in the past and I have gotten flagged.
Interesting. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this photograph. I mean, there's nothing exposed. You have such phenomenal composition with your photographs, like just on the money. And this photograph right here is just extraordinary in my book. I love it. I'm going to pull up another one. You're calling this one Allure?
Allure. She's a cabaret burlesque performer in town over at the Denver Clock Tower.
Okay. No, this is full on asses here.
This is
two gentlemen.
This one was very exciting for me. I saw this hairy butt crack from across the club, and I knew I had to get a photo of that ass. And this is going to be a photo that's blown up to the 30 by 40 size. So this is going to be large and in your face. And this is definitely one. This has 3 very handsome people in jock straps with their butts, grabbing each other's butts. This one will be on display. And for this one, it's pretty obvious why this one wouldn't be able to be seen on Instagram.
Yeah, I could see that.
Hey, Todd, don't we have a picture like that?
I think you have a picture of me like that.
I think me, you, and Doug. I do have a picture similar to this of you, but we won't talk about that. Maybe another time.
Oh, man. It's a great shot. It's a great shot.
It's interesting. I love that.
Now, who's this that we're looking at?
This is Muskie Rat. I just like this photo. I thought it was a great photo. I haven't shown it on Instagram. This is what I would consider in my show a palette cleanser. So I didn't want all of my photos to be hard to look at. I wanted some portraits that I'm well known for. So this is a portrait that I just really loved, and I haven't figured out the excuse for it to be in the show other than I just really enjoyed it and had to have it.
I love the emotion that you captured.
For this photo, a lot of my portraits, whenever you see me out and about, I will put the camera way over my head, and then I will take the photo. So this is a blind shot. I take this is just point and shoot. I don't see where I'm taking the photo, and I just aim down and take a photo of the person. This is Muskie Rat, who is a performer here in town. I would say drag performer, also a clown. Very interesting person in the nightlife.
It's a great shot.
Yeah, it is.
This is a pup. So maybe I should explain this a little bit better.
I was just going to ask you, like, give it some context.
Yeah. I just think everybody knows what a puppy is. There's an entire culture of people who dress up like dogs and like puppies, and they go to, there's a couple clubs in town, pup nights, where they will go to, and they put down like a padding on the floor so the pups can get on all fours and run around and play with toys. And I always tell people, they think that it's very interesting that I would decide to go to a pup night. They have these masks on, and I tell them, if you like dogs, are you dog people?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
love
you
dogs.
will love a man pup. If you like puppies, you will love them. They're so sweet and they're so cute. And you know, they're just so friendly. And sometimes they have little rubber tails and they'll shake them and the little rubber tail will move. Anyways, this is part of the puppy community. This is a photo that will be seen. This one I don't really typically post very many puppy photos. And it's not because I don't have love for the pup community. It's because it is very possible that somebody will have a problem with it because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And so it could be flagged. I tend to post them in stories. Sometimes I post them on my Instagram. But right now, in particular, I am very cautious with what I took. This is a very recent photo because I think that since I called my show Shadow Band, that I'm just like making something happen. So I'm being very, very cautious. But this is a fine photo. There's no genitalia, anything, but I do get a little bit nervous about posting this particular community.
And so somebody out there will see it and be offended by it and turn you in. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. And every time I post anything with the puppy community, I lose quite a bit of followers as well.
Really?
But I don't care about that because if I lose followers, they don't belong there anyways.
Exactly. They're not your people. They're not your audience. They should just go away. So, yeah, there's absolutely nothing offensive about this. I'm just kind of, I have no idea about this whole culture. And so that makes me curious. Like to see this in action, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Right. Like I've never been in that kind of scenario or experienced that. So I think it's very interesting. Like what makes people want to dress up as animals and play at being an animal, right? Like there's something for everybody out there. I've just never thought of it because I've never seen it. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. Are you aware about this culture, Wes?
No, not at all. But being, I guess, subjected to like cosplay and like in TikTok or whatever, I can see where like there's all sorts of different communities but no, I have never seen this community at all. So that's interesting. It's really cool. Back. Go ahead.
There's that whole community or that culture of what do they call them? Furries or whatever.
Mm.
And I know that was a big thing for a while. Is that in the same vein as what we're talking about here? Or is that something completely different, Shadow?
Yeah, no, I actually talked to the pups about this because I'm very curious as well. This particular club is Denver Sweets, and not every, like, I think maybe one Friday a month they have pup night, but it is very likely that you'll also see, this is so fun. I feel like Stefan from, what was it, Saturday Night Live. You'll see leather daddies. You'll see the pups. You'll also see some furries. So you'll see quite a variety of cultures at this event, and they do tend to get along very well because, like you mentioned, it is just cosplay, right? Like it's just people dressing up. Some people dress up on Halloween. Some people dress up every weekend. And it's nothing to, like, I don't judge. I actually really enjoy people whenever they feel like it's a safe place where they're able to express themselves. And so I think it's really fun. But for a lot of people, it might be a little intimidating for sure, the mask. And this one, in fact, is like a latex puppy mask, which is very different.
Right. So I got to ask you, if Todd and I went to a club like this and we're just dressed like every normal, whatever normal is, right? With air quotes, guys, are we welcome, or would we be looked at kind of weird because we're not part of that community, or are people just welcome? They don't care.
You would be very welcome. And the only places that I go to are places that welcome me. And if you see me right now, I have big hair. I'm very feminine. I have, robes. I wear my fur, but I'm very different than what you would see in this club as well. And I only go places that are supportive of everyone. Else I would not be there. And in fact, I did invite Todd out this night.
Oh, is this one of the nights I wasn't able to?
This was a night we were over at the gallery. I said, "Come on, join me. I'm going to cup night." So yes, everybody would be welcome as long as you were open and supportive. And you look at these photos and you think, man, that must be a really wild club. There's probably going to be like 100 puppies there. I mean, really, everywhere you go in Denver, there's going to be people just like you. They're going to be, dressed casual. And at this particular club, it's right off of Broadway. So they do get spillover from the other clubs that pop in there, and everybody is welcome.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious because I'd be afraid of making people uncomfortable just because I'm dressed like you see, most people during the day. I would totally go and hang out with you and go down clubbing just to see the different clubs that you go to and the people that you interact with. I think that would be a blast.
Come on out. Let's go.
All right.
Next time you come down to Denver, Wes, we will just reach out to Shadow and we'll just make it a date.
Yes.
Okay. We were supposed to go out last weekend, but she had a cold, and we've been talking about doing this for like 2 years now, I think. And the stars have not aligned. So
cool. Yeah. I'll definitely take you up on that, Shadow. Nice. I like that one.
It's very colorful.
Yeah.
Now, when we're looking at this on the screen, is there more detail to this, or is this pretty much what you're going to see as far as the actual picture itself? Only because it's a dark scenario, you can tell that, you had to use your flash and the light falls off so quickly. So I'm just curious.
This is every single photo I take. It's the actual image. You can see the scratches on it. Nothing has been altered in any of these images. For this show, I did scrape off the border. Do you see how the border is raw and you can see the numbers? And I did peel off the white border to make it kind of raw and unfinished. Something that I thought I like to see the grittiness. I like to see the raw, uncensored, and I thought that kind of fit the show.
Yeah, I like that. It adds interest, that's for sure. The other question I have since we're talking about tearing the border off, do you know if the Fuji Insta film, like the old Polaroid, you could actually, there's a negative back there you can pull out, right, Todd? And make prints from?
That's only with certain.
Is that
Polaroid
only with
films.
certain? Okay.
Yeah. Only certain Polaroid films, like what they make for the instant cameras. I don't think they make any that have the actual negative. But back in the day, like when we shot view cameras, or if you had a view camera, they used to make Polaroid film that had a negative. So you get the actual print, but you also had a negative that you could clear, and you could print a black and white photo from that actual negative.
That's what I thought, but I didn't know if I thought that was true with all of them, but I guess not. Interesting.
This is a great shot.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about this one.
Yeah, this is Lisa Frank, a very well-known performer in town, drag performer. And they were the first person that I ran into for the night. And we had a lovely photo shoot. Lisa is someone who has always helped me warm up to a club and to a space, and is always welcome to have me take as many photos as I can. So she was the first person that I took photos of this evening, and we took some Instagram stories and some video, and we took several photos. This one she was extremely happy with because I gave her a big booty. So in this, she's bent over in latex. You can see she's in a teal outfit with this beautiful red corset string on her butt, and she has latex gloves where she's grabbing her own ass. And this is one of my favorites from the evening.
It's a great shot. I look at all that latex and I think, God, it's got to be hot though. Is it hot?
It is. It's hot, sweaty, and squishy.
Okay.
I mean, imagine being wrapped in a balloon, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
You have to get powder. You powder your body in order to get into these really tight latex outfits. So it is definitely a process. You either love it or you don't. And I will give you a tip, Todd. You probably, if you were to do it, you need to buy a good quality latex because there's nothing worse than being on the dance floor and having your latex pop because you're not going to be wearing any underwear.
Gotcha.
Love it.
All right.
That's awesome.
I know. Right now you're thinking, why in the world did we have shadow on here?
No, not at
I
all.
just think it's interesting. I mean, it's not a world that I know anything about. So I'm just curious, and you're here and you can answer these questions because you know these folks. And, it makes sense that you'd have to powder your entire body so that you have this like layer of protection between the latex and you're going to sweat and and you're going to be squishy.
It's not for me, but I love the people who wear it because it looks fabulous.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
I'm just trying to think of where I'm going to find high quality latex. So
there might be money involved if you get yourself a latex suit, Wes Brown.
Well, I'd be super squishy then.
No, who is this? This person would scare me, I think. Yeah. It's just it's intense.
This one is very intense. This was a band named Nightmare. They have come around a couple of times, and I always love photographing them. This is the lead singer of the band. I got very close up to their face. They are, I want to say, industrial metal type. They scream a lot. Very interesting, but they have the contacts in. They have the big gory makeup. He's really good at making these very, very scary, intense faces. Whenever I gave this to the framer, they gave me a look like, you seriously want me to frame this one? This is one that makes everybody extremely uncomfortable, and I wanted to include it just for that reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. You need to have that. It does make me uncomfortable, not because of the face he's making or they're making or the makeup, but the contacts. When people wear those weird contacts, it always flips me out. I don't know why. You know, but yeah, it definitely is arresting.
It's intense.
Yeah. And this looks like a person that is about ready to snort some cocaine or some kind of powdered drug off a knife blade. Is that correct?
That is correct. This was backstage at a music festival. This was the fourth day, and this was their last day on Sunday. And they were feeling it, and I went backstage to take photos. All these rockers know me. Most of these rockers are actually from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. A lot of them were actually doing various things to keep them up during the day and through the last night. And this person had a switchblade and was doing cocaine off of it, and was totally fine with me taking this photo. And it's in a way where you don't know who it is. So it's not like a full face. You see part of the nose, part of the mouth, the switchblade. So you wouldn't actually be able to recognize who this was. But at this time, this person really did not care and was fine with me taking this photo. And it was a very nice concert. A lot of drugs, but it was a very nice concert.
I love this photo. This photo is fucking phenomenal. Just so you know, it's perfectly composed between the hand holding the blade with the coke or whatever, and how you frame the face, and the other hand wrapped around. It's like about as perfect as you can get, composition wise.
I really like seeing all the wristbands layered up from the weekend of partying, the skull ring, the leather jacket with all the buttons. It really speaks very true to this
rock and roll.
Yep, to rock and roll.
And he's got the glasses hanging, or they got the glasses hanging on their chain. I mean, it's just perfect. There's nothing more rock and roll than that right there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very authentic. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well done.
It's real.
Thank you.
This is the photo that you were talking about with the fingers in the mouth?
Yeah, this is the one that I was speaking about earlier, the one that actually did get banned. It is a very heavily tattooed woman, tattoos on their face. very pink lipsticks, tattoos on their shoulder, tattoos on their hand, fingers in their mouth. Nothing, absolutely nothing is wrong with this image. There's no reason why it should have been taken down. There's not even any cleavage in it, but it was removed due to the content.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I just don't even get it. Like it's a platform that artists use. It should be free reign unless it's something completely grotesque. But why this would be banned? Again, composition, phenomenal. What you're showing in this photograph is just amazing. And I love these compositions where they're kind of anonymous, but it says so much. I mean, you get so much out of it. There's so much going on. There's emotion. I don't know. Again, I love it.
Well, I think the really cool thing about it being so close, it really allows the viewer to be in the photograph, like be part of it. Like it's like you're engrossed in it because it could be you in the sense that it's anonymous in that sense.
This could be you.
Yeah.
Could be Wes.
It could be Wes.
Tattoos and piercings later.
Yeah.
Wes Brown. Yeah, I love this photograph. I'm over the moon.
Very good.
Yeah. And who's this crew? They look like trouble.
Yeah, they were having a very good night. This was at an all ages venue. They were sitting on a bench. This was at Seventh Circle, which I mentioned earlier. This was at what it said on the post was a rap show of sorts. And I had to go see what a rap show looked like in Denver. So this was my first time going and seeing this scene, and I was so nervous about going to a new place, seeing new people. There wasn't a single person there except for the volunteers who worked the door that I knew. And this entire crowd of people, I was so nervous, and they hyped me up like no other. Every single time I would take a picture, they would yell and scream and jump up and down and go and tell their friends. And there was a lot of yos, check this out. Somebody called me a goat, and I had to look up and see what that was. Greatest of all times, I think. But anyways, I learned a lot from stepping into these countercultures and seeing these groups that I wouldn't do unless I took a leap of faith, just out of curiosity. These are all shows that I want to go to and I have an interest of, and some nights I just go out and I like to explore, and this was one of those nights.
That's awesome.
Another just like timeless photo.
Well, and it's catching the real. That's the thing I like about it.
Yeah, the rawness and the real. And like 20, 30 years from now, people look at these photos and they'll just be mesmerized because you're documenting a time in history that nobody will ever be able to go back and experience. So you're doing I just want to say you're doing really important work. Really important work. I don't know if you've been told that before. You probably have, but I do believe what you're doing is spectacular.
Thank you. And I really think that the Instax camera allows me to do that. If I carried a professional camera and I carried this lighting and I went to go take pictures, I don't think people definitely wouldn't be as receptive as they are whenever I give them a photo and I take a photo and I'm there partying with them, enjoying the night, getting to know these people. Like, it's not just an exchange of photos, it's a night out for me. And I do really get to know the crowd that I go and see. And if I see them again, they will recognize me, and I will remember the photo I took too.
That's a really good point that you just brought up. Because of the cameras that you're utilizing to document these folks and make their portraits, it's unassuming, right? Like you said, if you had like some kind of lighting rig and a big ass camera and stuff, it'd be a whole different deal because they immediately have this sense of what is this expectation of what's going to go on, right? Let's talk about this.
Yeah, this is a lovely crotch shot. And this one was banned immediately, probably within 30 seconds after I posted it. This is a go-go dancer in LA. And there is money in the underwear. It is a crotch shot. Originally, I called this one bulge. And it has the underwear is a Christian Andrews, which is very well known in the gay community. But the reason why this one was banned is because the Instagram bots was able to pick up on the fact that, first off, it was a close-up, but you'll see money in the underwear. So money in the underwear for dancers is a big no-no, and a lot of times they'll get flagged right away because it insinuates a sexual sort of buying or dancing. And so they will search out photos very similar to this and remove them. For this one was removed for multiple reasons. I look back on this one and think, wow, I learned a lot from this photo.
Yeah.
It was a learning experience. It was an education, right? It's just so crazy to me. America is a land of hypocrites because the porn industry thrives, all the way around the world, but Americans watch a fair amount of porn. There's nothing that you're seeing here. I mean, it is a crotch shot, but there's no genitalia showing. There is the money, but there's nothing crazy about it.
I wonder if it was reversed, if it was a crotch shot of a female exotic dancer that was clothed just like this with money, would it still be banned too? Is it because it's a man?
It's very hard to say. I mean, like I said earlier, there's this gray area where you're not really sure. Most of the time, I try to err on the side of caution, because if one of my images was to be flagged, my account goes into a review, which then people will look at the entire account with a microscope. And if they find anything previous to this that was offensive, they'll go ahead and ding me for that as well. So a lot of times I will just play it safe, because to start over would be very, very difficult for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, makes sense. It frustrates me, though. Looking at this work, it frustrates me because I'm like, there's no reason why it should be banned. Who is this?
So this is Venus. Venus is a trans man who is also a drag performer in town. I'm very familiar with their work. We've seen each other in various shows. They work very hard going to various venues. We have a really great relationship, and you can see it in the chemistry between me and them. And in this photo, they're grabbing their breasts. They have dollar bills in their G-string, fur coat, and it has a very brightly colored club-like background. And this one would have been definitely banned. And this is a beautiful photo that I really, really think it's important to show.
It is really beautiful. And the colors that you captured, the pose, the expression on the face is all just absolutely fantastic.
And that beautiful tattoo on their chest.
Yeah, like that's a crazy, crazy tattoo. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wes, you need a tattoo like that.
I do.
Well, I can't wait to come experience the show. You did mention this zine that you're doing. So let's talk about that just a little bit before we let off for the evening. What made you decide to put together a zine?
I wanted to have a collection of the photos all in one place. A takeaway for people who wanted to see the work, more of a work as a collection. I think that's really important to the photography I do. I do very beautiful individual photos, but you can't ignore the fact that I have over 1,000 that I've collected through the years. And so this is a snapshot of quite a few of the photos that I have taken. I have scanned well over 1,000 photos to create this work. And this is part of the process. And this is one thing that I really put on the back burner for a long time, mainly because I did not want to learn anything new. I did not want to learn InDesign. I did not want to learn. I did not want to touch it. I wasn't interested. It seemed too hard at the time. And so I created this a couple weeks ago. I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos. I brought up the InDesign and so scanned photos. I ended up creating this scene, which I'm really proud of. I'm really proud to show as many faces as I did in it.
You should be proud of it. And, good for you for taking the time to, figure it out and put it together. And I was going to ask that question if you laid it out yourself, which you answered. And then did you have it printed locally, or is it something that you had to source out to someplace else in the country or whatever?
I did end up sourcing it out. It was just a very easy process for me to upload, to get them quick. The prices on it just made sense. I printed 75 of these zines, and they will be available only at the Leon Gallery March 11th through April 22nd. So whenever you're there, stop by and see it. I will definitely have a copy of it out, maybe a couple copies of it out, so you can flip through it. And it's a combination of colored photographs and then black and white grids.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it in person. So you have this show happening in March. What else do you have going on the rest of the year? You said that you're going to do one of these point and shoot parties. Anything else that you're looking forward to in 2023 that you have coming up that you want to promote or talk about?
And this show is definitely the big one that you're going to want to, people are going to want to go to. The point and shoot, of course, which we already mentioned. I don't know. I might be talking to a few people about throwing a few other events, maybe some drag shows, maybe some DJ nights. We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm just so hyper focused on making sure that this show is as perfect as it can be, and we'll see what happens after that.
I'm hoping I can make it down. That'd be great. I'd love to come and see the show. Need to figure that out.
There's going to be a lot of great things going on for Month of Photography. Definitely come down and see all the galleries and the shows, the exhibits. I always have to say exhibit because if I say show, they're going to think that I'm performing.
Right.
No, it's an exhibit, and it's going to be spectacular with phenomenal photography by the one and only Shadow. Shadow, thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. It was nice to spend some time and kind of deep dive into your journey and your practice. And I appreciate you carving out time in your evening to spend it with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It wasn't as scary as I thought. We all did a very good job. I was so shy and so nervous about doing this, but we did a very nice job. Thank you for making me feel comfortable.
Well, we're glad you're comfortable. You're so adorable. I'd love talking to you. You're just a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to see where this takes you, because I think what you're doing is so different, and I think there's a future here that we're going to be reading about. So I'm looking forward to your journey, and hoping that we can kind of come along with you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Again, check out Shadow's work in person at her upcoming solo exhibition, Shadow Band. It opens Saturday, March 11th with a special artist reception from 7 to 11 p.m. and it runs through April the 22nd at Leon Gallery, located at 1112 East 17th Avenue here in Denver, Colorado. Follow Shadow on Instagram at shadows.gather and check out her photography on her website, shadowsgather.com. I will have all this info and more in this week's episode notes. For the Tenet Podcast, I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown. Have a great week.